is Way Up with Angela Yee. Oh, and I'm excited to talk about things like this. We have the stars of Reasonable Doubt here, Emayatzy, Corinealdi. I did that good.
Yes, you did.
And McKinley Freeman.
What's going on?
He's like, did you go to any of the restaurants I recommended in New Orleans? I'm such a creature of habit.
Same.
Yeah, by the way.
I mean, you can't go wrong in New Orleans with food generally, so.
Oh, you can go wrong anywhere with food.
This is true.
Yes, you
Fair
can.
enough.
Yes,
Fair
you
enough.
can.
But you guys are here for Reasonable Doubt, and season 2 just started on Hulu. I feel like the way that season 1 left off, I was like, we have to see where this is about to go. So I'm really excited to go home, and I guess we can watch the first 2 episodes now, and then every week another episode drops.
Week. Yes.
We're so used to watching the whole thing at once nowadays.
I know.
There's something cool about waiting, though.
It is.
Right?
Yes, it is.
It
Yes,
kind
it
of
is.
elongates the
the
conversation. Exactly.
But on the show, you guys are a married couple, and I got so many questions. Because what's great about the relationship now, Emayatzy, your character is based on Sean Holly, who is, she's an attorney who started off as a public defender.
Yes, she did.
Okay.
Yep.
And then now she's working in private corporate. And it was so interesting in the show to see why she made that switch. If you want to talk about that and elaborate a little bit of...
Sure, yeah. Well, Sean, she is a powerful LA-based, defense attorney. She is just who she is, right? And the show is loosely based on her, and Jax is loosely based on her. And in the show, Jax kind of makes that switch because she, ends up taking on a case that affects her to a degree to where it's like, I'm not sure I can keep doing this.
Right.
And that gives her the power to make the switch.
Yeah, because a public defender, everybody always acts like if you get a public defender... It's over.
It's over. It's over.
Take that plea deal.
It's over. And Jax from the beginning, she was always one who kind of fights for her clients, and it was becoming a bit too much, so she had to make a change.
All right, and McKinley, you are her husband on there, who also, by the way, gave her an ultimatum because Jax's character is so wrapped up in her work, and you did at one point say, you got to make a decision.
Did you? You did. You did. Go ahead.
I mean, yeah, these things happen, right? But I think the bigger journey is like the decision on the way to the bigger question is, what is this, right? So it's like trying to figure out where they are in this world on the heels of everything that happened at the end of the first season and jumping right back in where we left off and kind of figuring out what the pieces are and what they may look like put together or what that ultimately may be. So yeah, it's been fun. I mean, Emayatzy is as a co-star, someone I can trust, and we kind of go places together as it relates to different scenes and stuff. So I'm really curious to see how it all comes together and how fans react to it.
Yeah.
What I love about the show is it's not just about what's happening in the courtroom. Your relationship with each other also is front and center.
Yep.
Because a lot of times your work does affect what goes on at home. And I'm sure for both of you, working as hard as you do and having long days and having to be at work, that does affect a relationship.
It does. And, that's one of the things I love about our show and the world that Ramla Muhammad has created. She's the showrunner. Is that though it's a legal show, it's really not. This is a character-driven show that's really about the lives of these people, the inner lives. And you really get to see what marriage looks like, with this black couple, who are successful, have children, trying to figure it out. You get to see all the inner workings of that, and that's not something we really have, on TV right now.
Right.
From a very positive, strong point of view, and that's what the show represents.
And to Emayatzy's point, it's also this is a family that's doing pretty well. Like they both have really good jobs. They've got kids that seem to have it relatively together, which I think is winning in 2024.
Yeah.
So like on top of those things, still very much the reality of, the issues that perhaps plague plenty of relationships, but these are a little bit more extreme. So it's really like, what is this and how do we move forward if we can?
Now, your character is a video game developer. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. And you also have cameras all over the house.
Talk about it.
Yeah. I've always learned not to put cameras inside the house because anybody could hack those. That's a whole situation. And you might end up seeing some things. Or what?
Or that might have been part of the plan. I mean, it could have been... I guess we'll find out soon enough. But I mean, that was, I will say, when I read that season 1, I literally was like, Ramla.
Right.
Ramla, what is this? You know what I mean?
That's the first
what's
thing
going
I
on?
asked you. And listen, since it's not really a spoiler because season 1 already aired and we're getting ready for season 2, you do end up seeing Jax getting it in with somebody you hired as security to be in the house. But you still want to be with her.
Yeah.
And normally that's not, but I would say in real life that does happen, but people act like it doesn't.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's like guys will be like, oh, because y'all are separated, just for people listening, but you live in different homes, but you're still trying to figure out if you're going to be together.
Let's not act like people don't play the separation gray area either. So like in real life.
True.
So like that's a whole other conversation.
That's real.
Yeah. Well, we're on a break right now.
Exactly.
It's like, where's your husband? Oh, yeah, we're on a break, but y'all do still get it in together. But can you imagine getting back together after you done seen somebody who you paid to protect that? That is kind of like the disrespect though, because he was.
Disrespect from on Jax's side in terms of doing it?
No, I'm talking about for the security.
Wait,
yes.
wait a minute.
Salary.
Wait a minute.
Okay.
How is it not disrespect on Jack's side for doing it? Didn't she? So we just gloss
I'm
over
a woman.
that?
What do you want me
That's
to
what
say?
I mean. And this, now hold on a second.
Why would you
now
hire,
wait, hold on a
this
second. Hold on a second.
attractive-looking man to protect your family.
Come home late at night.
Come home late at night like that. Come on. Come on. That was a
in the
fail.
house.
So why be a husband that works late, that wants to make sure his wife's protected, that's taking high profile cases that might be stalked by folks, whatever the case.
Stay in the house.
You stay in the house?
Stay in the house.
You gonna stay in the house? You can't do that at that job. But anyway,
See,
this is the thing,
like,
right? Yeah. No, for sure. We be having debates.
How much do you guys ad lib? From the script, because I'm sure there's ways that you look at it like this is how I would react.
There's a little bit of that, but I will say what Ramla writes really it just stands. It's so good that you don't really need to add too much to it. When we do find things that just don't click or what have you, she gives us the freedom
for sure
to figure it out within there. But it doesn't require much in that area.
No,
and it's all black writing staff, right? That's amazing.
And directing. Mm-hmm.
And the great thing about that is it definitely anchors us in the right locations, and then from there they trust us to be able to collaborate there. And I think that's where, when two people show up prepared and provide room for magic to happen, like hopefully I know Emayatzy brought it. So at the end of the day, let's get ready to see a super exciting season for sure.
Well, what is the balance like with work and home life though? Because while you are trying to be successful, you do have to sometimes sacrifice at home. So where does it stop? That's what I really want to talk about, because that is, I feel like, an overarching theme of the show. When do you say, okay, let me take it? Because you could be laying in the bed with somebody and then you get a phone call. You're like, sorry, I got to take this call. We got things going on. It's kind of like what you signed up for, but then it's also like, okay, when am I a priority?
Yeah. Well, for me, I think there are boundaries that I think you have to set in place from the jump. The way that I relate to Jax is, she's married, has children, and for me, it's the same thing. But it's about those boundaries. Like a perfect example. I mean, even in just doing all of the press that we're doing for the show right now, there was one event that had to happen, but it was my daughter's first day of school, and I wasn't going to miss it.
Right.
And so I got with my team, and they made sure to rearrange things so that I didn't, because that was important to me. It was either going to be that or the press, and it would have been the press. So thankfully they worked it out. You know what I mean? So it's about just having the boundaries and that kind of thing. I think that's what works for me, knowing how far I'm willing to go and knowing what's really important.
Because you can't turn back the hands of time.
You cannot.
And you also don't know how that affects kids too.
Yeah.
Like she might be like, it's okay, Ma, but then also really be like, I wish my mom was here.
Right.
All right, so now let's get into season 2 that's just premiering. We saw how season 1 ended. I have to say, Jax, your friendship, with your inner circle of homegirls, sometimes you're not the best friend either.
I mean, that's judgment right there, though.
It's something that I feel like I have to work on too, though.
Yeah.
Because we can get very caught up in our lives and be a little selfish. Same thing with, with McKinley's character. You can be a little selfish and feel like, let me take care of me first and my problems first, and kind of like, okay, I need this, I need that, and not even think about how somebody else is affected.
And that's what Jax realizes in this season, especially with her friendship with Chanel. She realizes, there was a big blind spot there that I did not see. How did I allow that to happen? I wasn't as present in my friendship as I thought I was, even though she'd been trying to tell, Jax for the longest, but she just didn't hear it. So it took something as, drastic and traumatic as this to happen for her to realize maybe I haven't been the best friend that I thought I'd been being.
And domestic violence is taking center stage at this next season. And that's a topic that I think a lot of people can relate to, unfortunately. and have had to deal with. And so even being on set, what was that like for you guys? Because it is something that can be triggering for people who are even working.
I think, and Emayatzy, I mean, you can speak to this just as much as well. I think a lot of it was the amazing job that the producers and the network did in making sure that people felt supported while we were going through this, making sure there are the right counselors and people to talk to. Because as you said, you know, this might be something that's being worked on at work, but somebody might actually be going home to these situations. Yes. So giving honor to those situations, and shout out to Shannon and Christopher for the amazing job that they did, because they were asked to do a really, really tough thing this season, and I think as it unfolds, I think people are really going to be impressed with how talented they are as actors and actresses. Yeah.
And Ramla, I mean, everyone, they made sure to have all the resources available. You know, the numbers to the National Domestic Violence Hotline on every call sheet at every turn. You know, so they really took it seriously, as we all should.
Yeah, because these are stories we really do hear every day.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know, I saw just recently a woman who killed the man that that trafficked her, and she's going to jail for that. You know, and it's just kind of, I think it's harder for. I know that they always talk about, like, with women, they'll say it's premeditated if something happens because we don't have the power and strength. I mean, this is a job for Jax to explain better. But did you learn a lot about the law while doing this show? I have to imagine you did, because even when I'm watching it, I'm learning things.
Definitely, you know, and that was one of the things in conversations I would have with Sean Hawley before we started filming anything. I got to sit with her and just kind of pick her brain, just to understand how she works, you know, as a lawyer, and then doing a lot of my own research and seeing these scripts and seeing terms and things that I'm not familiar with, and really digging into it and finding out what it means. So I really did throw myself into the whole, you know, world of law to make sure I was versed in it to understand the scripts.
Yeah, because Sean Hawley was on the O.J. Simpson, the Dream Team. She was part of that with Johnny Cochran, to be clear. And so when you watch this first season, it's a little ironic. It's kind of like, I don't even want to, okay, you got to watch it. You know, because at the end of the day, like, if you represent somebody as an attorney, even if they did or didn't do it, you're still doing your job.
That's it.
And it's not about whether or not you think that they did it or believe that they did it. It's about what can be proven. You know, so that's why I say it's a little ironic, because with O.J. Simpson, that's something, there's a billion documentaries, so many different people speaking their piece, and, you know, definitely people are still like, he did it. He was going to do a book if I did it.
Right.
Which is wild, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's where Sean lives in her real life work. It's, you know, it's about the law. What can be proven? This is what we're going to do. And some people don't like her approach, you know, may feel some type of way about who she chooses to represent, but she focuses on what is the law.
Right.
And actually, just to piggyback that actually just shows you how brilliant a job Ramla Muhammad did, was taking a world that requires so much specifics and rules and regulations and flipping it on its head in a world that doesn't have, in a reality that doesn't have it. And it's like, how do you reconcile that?
Man, the writing was so good. I was like, he's innocent.
I know.
I believe in him. He's innocent. Leave him alone. But, you know, and there's a lot of little subtle things that happen, like being a black woman and coming into the room. People want to be represented by a white male attorney a lot of times, and they don't believe that they'll see you and automatically think, she can't handle this.
Exactly, which is what it was in the first season. You know, we have this black client, Braden Miller, played by Sean Patrick Thomas, and he comes in, you know, and Jax is thinking, oh, okay, you know, I know what it is, and he is taken aback by the fact that it's her,
right?
You know, and she feels that, you know what I mean? So the show really touches on all of those kinds of things, you know, all of the different, you know, prejudices and things like that we have.
How was it for you guys? Look, I saw you in one movie that I love, The Invitation.
Oh, that's one of my favorite movies.
I really enjoyed that one. I'm not gonna lie. And for you, McKinley, doing Queen Sugar, just seeing you guys, you know, coming together and doing this, which shows that in a movie that I absolutely loved. It was really nice to see you two paired together. But, like, I gotta ask you about what it was like for you filming The Invitation also.
That was so much fun. It's really one of my favorite experiences, because it almost felt like a throwback to theater. We were all together in this house, you know, for really the duration of filming, you know, barely seeing outside, it felt like at times, you know, to really make this thriller. The Invitation was this thriller film. So it really was a lot of fun. It was directed by a woman, Karen Kasuma, and it was just really a great experience.
Did you have nightmares at all after that? I always think,
you know, surprisingly, I didn't. As much as I'm afraid of like thrillers and stuff, I was like, oh, I'm not as scared as I thought I was going to be. Going home anyway.
And McKinley, do you love series work more than movies?
I love work.
Okay,
so
period.
series work, whatever the work, I think web series, whatever it is, I'm going to show up with the same kind of I'm going to show up with the same type of focus. Listen, you get one shot at this, so I'm about it.
You know, your background is so interesting to me because you actually started off in soap operas.
I did. I started off.
Let's not forget.
I did start off in soaps. That was kind of my intro to the business. And before that, I hadn't taken an acting class or anything like that. I actually was bored working for a corporation. It was a top Fortune 5 company.
Right.
And then I was like, all right, let me see
What made you decide to just go do an audition? Like,
I was bored. I was like, I won't say I was bored. Maybe I was a little deterred because I worked so hard to get this, you know, not just a promotion, but like the bonus, and I didn't get it. And I did less work the next year and got bonus. I was like, so then once this started, I was like, well, So once I started doing the soaps, I was like, I wonder what would happen if I actually applied myself. So I was like, hey, why not? And now I'm sitting here with her. So here we go.
It's just interesting to see the journey too.
Yeah,
When
for
you
sure.
think about that, you never would have pictured that it would have, you know, gone this far.
Yeah. Well, my biggest thing at the time was, Martin Luther King said the two most powerful words in the English language are too late. So I didn't want to get down the road in my own life and look back and be like, man, I wish I would have tried, but now it's too late. I wish I would have done this. So now I'm just like, failure is an outcome, and I think outcomes are disconnected from the choices that we make. Sometimes they have nothing to do with us. So a lot of it is just dedicating myself to the process and let the chips fall where they fall.
How is it when you work so long with somebody like on a series and then it has to end? It's like a family, and then it's kind of like, oh, we gotta, you know, when the series comes to an end, even though you had a nice, because you had such a long run, it was really like we got so accustomed and used to each other.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing about. I mean, even this season, hopefully people will see that we've had a season, like Ramla always says, season 1, you're introducing characters and you're introducing to the world. And season 2, hopefully people feel from episode 1 of the second season that, we are hitting the ground running with these characters that we know at some level and the challenges that they have. And I think, again, like when you have a co-star like Emayatzy who's like beyond phenomenal, it definitely makes the work easy.
Ooh, McKinley, you are just wonderful.
He's so good.
No, it's just you need to get my Venmo right.
Got it.
No,
Got it. But it is like a family, though. It really is. And so when it ends, you're like, oh man, I'm gonna miss you. You know,
for sure. And there are places that we've been asked to go this season that require a lot of trust, and I think that's been the foundation from the very beginning between the two of us. And I told, we found out that part of the season shot in Atlanta, and then we shot some of it in LA. But I told Emayatzy, I was like, listen, as long as you show up, we're gonna be all right. I got your back. And it's been like that since day one. So
what days what are some things that have been really emotional for you while filming this? Because I have to imagine this season is a lot more emotional.
You don't want to know what was fun. What was fun was as people kind of see in the first episode is we start talking about, there's this conversation about therapy that was introduced in first season where we kind of start seeing pieces of that in the second season. And I think that's a whole conversation in itself about the need to perhaps have somebody that's disconnected from the two people, to have an honest ear and voice, and to call people out and to listen and stuff like that. So just exploring those different things that I think is really interesting when we start talking about the dynamics of relationships, for sure.
Yeah, the therapy work was a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah, it was good.
And you had Michael Ealy on season 1. Morris Chestnut now is on season 2. You guys got the legends.
I mean, we winning over here. We winning.
Do you think that Lewis and Jack should end up together?
I mean,
in real life, like if you were removing yourself from this, from what you know of the two of them, do you think that because a lot of times people will talk about their issues with their significant other, and if you put it on paper, you're like, okay, Jax is doing this, she don't mess with this guy, and even though they're still married, because being separated and sleeping with other people, some people would feel like that's We're not completely divorced, and we're trying to work it out. And I don't know what Lewis be doing. Like, I don't know if he's doing anything. I have no idea yet.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a nice guy, right?
If he were, would that change anything?
I don't know.
As far as a viewer?
I'm asking what you guys, though, think.
First of all.
Like, if you had to remove yourself from this, like, okay, McKinley, for you with Lewis's character, right? Could you see if your homeboy came to you and was like, this is what happened, and, my wife, Jax, we're separated, but she did this. I saw it on the camera, and...
I mean, I would probably have a lot of the same questions that the audience has. Like, why is you watching on the camera? What's that about? But, I think the advice would be like, I think the big thing is always understanding the situations and circumstances, but I would definitely be honest. Like, bruh, remember that she made a choice to step out on a commitment that you guys made to each other, blah, blah, blah. But at the same time, it's like, the greatest thing I think it's to remember about advice is that when people get done talking, they go home.
Right.
And you got to stand there in the depths of your own choices and live with it.
Because we can always say what we would do, but until you get into a situation, you don't know what's going to happen.
And then even the stuff that we say we would do gets challenged and maybe tossed out the window for the thing that's necessary. So I think that's a lot of it is about what's worth fighting for and what are you willing.
I mean, especially when it comes to marriage, and this is why you shouldn't idolize somebody else's marriage or judge other people's marriage.
Real.
You don't do it because you do not know what people have going on.
Like
so
some of the old couple goals are like recent hashtags. So it's like sometimes you got to look in the mirror and be like, what is it that I want?
Right. Yeah. I mean, you can look at a couple like Jax and Lewis and think like you're saying, you know what, they need to just, maybe they don't need to do this or what have you, but you don't know what's going on in the depths of their relationship and their marriage. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't personally say, okay, no, they need to separate. I mean, there's a reason, she's not sleeping with the security guard and looking at the camera just for her own good. She knows there's something there. She knows there's something there. It wasn't. I was doing it for the good of the marriage.
Oh.
Okay. And
it's a different type of therapy.
Yeah. It's like
for the good of marriage.
Okay.
I'm trying to get you back in the house.
That new math. Okay, let's go.
I'm trying to get you back in the house. So you just don't know what people have going on. So I wouldn't say that. I would say y'all made this commitment. You're in it. Y'all got to figure it out. Figure it out.
What about a former client? Sleeping with a former client?
You ask the hard questions. Let's go. What about that?
Here's the thing. It was a mistake.
Come on, Jax.
It was a mistake. Yes, it was a mistake. So, Angela, it's been great to meet you. You know what I mean?
She got her attorney hat on.
Yes, exactly.
It was a mistake, and the way that it happened.
Mistakes happen. You know what I mean?
Separation is such a murky water, though.
It is.
If there's no rules on what can and can't happen during a separation, it's hard to say what you can and can't do.
That's real.
And they're in a real separation. They are not in the house. She's asking him to come back. He refuses to come back.
Right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like it's a gray area.
Right.
Game on.
Yeah.
Game on, bro.
Okay. What's the minute mark on this?
Okay.
All right. I'm just kidding.
Everybody's having trauma right now.
No.
No, but it is. I think it is an interesting situation, because even when I'm watching it, I'm like, ooh, I don't know, but that's a good thing, because this does initiate conversations, for people, because it's not just about the legal aspect of the show, it's everything.
It really is, and it is those conversations. So I get calls from my boys. I got cousins on the south side of Chicago that'll call me like, bro, are you for real?
Yeah.
What is going on?
Get out.
But it's that thing, though, where it's like, it's brothers and sisters stopping me at TSA or wherever being like, man, you keep your head up, Lewis. I'm be like, my name's McKinley, but it's all right.
Right.
It's all right. I'll be
So
Lewis today.
invested.
Yeah, but it's cool to like be part of something that are provoking and having those types of conversations, because you just never know what people are going through.
Yeah.
He's very demure. That's the word everybody's
Very
using.
demure.
Demure.
Very classy.
All right, and lastly, I just want to ask, as we're getting ready for this next season to play out, has it been renewed for a season 3 already?
Well, we don't know yet.
I feel like it will.
We don't know yet. We shall see. We shall see.
From your lips to God's ears.
Yes.
For real.
Yes.
All right. Well, listen, you guys, I'm tuned in. As you can see, I'm watching. I cannot wait. As a matter of fact, right when we leave here, I'm going home to watch the first 2 episodes.
Oh, done.
On
So
Hulu.
we're going to need to come back
Yeah,
and do the
for sure.
recap.
For
Yeah,
sure.
I got to
we
see.
felt about that.
I got to see what's happening. I might need to have you call in or something.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's easy.
Because I feel like there's a lot of good topics I could pull for Way Up just
Oh,
from
for sure.
watching the show. Just
For sure.
Aside from everything else. All right. You're not gonna get it in with Morris Chestnut, are you?
I'm not saying nothing. You got to watch the show to see what happened.
That is an answer. It's gonna be fun though, for sure. For the fans that waited, it's definitely gonna be worth the wait. And I mean, like, if you're a fan of Emayatzy, like, buckle your seatbelts.
How many people have hit you up, like young black girls, like, I want to be an attorney now? Because I can see that happening.
So many. My cousin, she works at a correctional facility, and she has someone who worked with her and kept saying, oh my God, I love that show. I love that show. I love your cousin. I am going back to school to be a lawyer because of that show. Like, it really inspired me, you know? And so I got to talk to her, and it just, the fact that is what's happening is really wonderful. You know what I mean? The fact that the show could incite that kind of reaction from people is a real gift.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's quite, listen, you are quite glamorous and amazing on there. So
thank you.
So I appreciate that. All right, well, it's Way Up, Reasonable Doubt. Make sure y'all check it out on Hulu every Thursday night.
2 episodes today, and then I think every week, every Thursday.
Every week, 1 episode, yes.
Okay. All right, perfect. Check it out. It's Way Up.